Good evening, friends. Few apologies at the outset. As an academician, I have a strong affinity for PowerPoint presentations. But unfortunately, this evening, due to a technical glitch, you might be able to see it in only one screen. And I'm sorry that it's going to be a strain, at least for some of you. It is indeed a privilege and a pleasure for me to be here this evening at the launch of Sanmati. I understand that the word Sanmati means noble mind, a description that fits so aptly with Dr. V. Ramachandran. Dr. V. Ramachandran was an inspired teacher who ignited the lamp of knowledge in so many of us. And indeed, it's so appropriate that we are honoring his presence this evening, exploring different facets of depression. Whenever you talk about depression, the question is it an elusive quest? Is it a difficult quest? Is it a chimera or a reality? Can we attain happiness? And if we want to attain happiness, is there a way that we can go about it? You would agree with me that all of us lead lives of delicate balance. We go through life negotiating various problems, trying to maintain a sense of balance. But many times, this balance can be very precarious. Next slide, please. And when that balance tips over, in the word of Pink Floyd, we are on the dark side of the moon. It is in such occasions when people are in deep psychological distress, unable to meet the requirements and demands of life, that we as mental health professionals step in to offer a semblance of support, however tenuous that support can be. When I talk about our responsibility and role in handling psychological distress, I have to recall the words of Maya Angelou. Next slide, please. As many of you might be aware, Maya Angelou had a very traumatic early childhood. And yet, she wrote a wonderful poem called A Caged Bird Can Sing. In one of her essays, she wrote, I try to be a rainbow in someone else's cloud. And that's what we as mental health professionals strive to do. In addressing human predicament, which often manifests as psychological distress, we don't confine ourselves to focus our attention exclusively on problems that the individual faces, but also try to understand the strengths within the person and help him to cope with the adversities in his life. Next slide, please. So understandably, in the past decade, in the field of mental health, there has been a very emerging trend that focuses attention on positive psychology. Positive psychology has different facets, different domains. Next slide, please. One of the important domains of happiness, domains of positive psychology, is happiness. Next slide, please. Incidentally, what is happiness? Let me take you through a few cartoons that might give us a glimpse of what happiness could be. If you ask the question, what is happiness? It depends on to whom you ask the question. It depends on at what stage in life you ask a question to a person. If you ask a youngster who is going to school, happiness is when you forget to do your homework and the teacher is absent. If you ask a person who spends a lot of time meeting the demands of everyday drudging at work. For him, happiness is not having to set the alarm for the next day. Next slide, please. For those who are interested in pets, happiness is just a warm puppy. Next slide, please. If you ask me personally, happiness for me is a book sale. I get tremendous pleasure browsing through old books and trying to source as many of them as possible, much to the dismay of my wife. Next slide, please. There are very many definitions of happiness, but the one that appeals to me immensely is a concept of flow. What exactly is flow? Flow is the state in which people are so involved in an activity that nothing else seems to matter. The experience itself is suffused with happiness. When you just heard Uttara early this evening, singing with such dedication and involvement, you saw flow in action. And that happens when you hear a good kacheri, as Krishna said. It is a feeling in which you identify yourself with a thing that is beyond you, and you immerse yourself in that. Next slide, please. The next question is, are we happy? Are we really happy in our everyday lives? As this cartoon says, something is just not right. Our air is clean, our water is pure. Next slide, please. We all get plenty of exercise, yet nobody seems happy. Some time ago, researchers tried to evolve a world map of our happiness using various indices that could really measure that state of happiness. If you look at that world map of happiness, unfortunately, you'll find that we in India are more towards a spectrum of unhappiness. If you're so unhappy, next slide, please. What can make us happy? And that is a question that each one of us asks. And quite often, next slide, please, we feel that it is money, it is acquisition of money, and spending your life earning more money is what will make us happiness. Next slide, please. So we work harder, earn more money, buy more things, and we keep on going in this hedonistic treadmill. Next slide, please. But what we must remember is that once basic needs are met, additional income and wealth does little to raise the level of happiness. And that is, next slide, please. And that is known as the Easterlin paradox. The data all over the world show pretty consistently that happiness increases with income, but only to a certain point. In the developed world, for example, people are scarcely happier than they were in the 1960s. Next slide, please. In the words of Spike Milligan, money can't buy happiness, but it does bring you a pleasant form of misery. Next slide, please. More than money, it is meaningful, close, confiding relationship that can evoke a sense of happiness in each one of us. Next slide, please. Can we get happier? Is there a way in which we can increase our level of happiness? Is it possible? Next slide, please. Researchers have examined this issue and they have come out with a theory called the set point theory. The set point theory says that the levels of happiness stay consistent throughout our lives. This is often genetically determined, and changes in our life do not have a long-term impact. What it essentially means is there are limits to which we can get happy, which are genetically determined. And this was a very popular theory about 10 years ago. Next slide, please. But what researchers have been able to find is that happiness levels do change. There are two large studies, both in Germany and UK, which examined 70,000 people over 20 years, and they found that in spite of the set point theory, people do experience increased levels of happiness. Next slide, please. So, if you want to increase our level of happiness, are there some kind of skills that we can acquire? There are 5 key happiness skills, which is also called as the STAGE framework. Savor the moment that you're in. Be thankful for the gains that you've made in your life. Give and share with people. Aspire to go beyond your limits. And most importantly, empathize. Among all these 5 key happiness skills, I would like to focus attention on being thankful. Next slide, please. One of the important strategies for happiness is the gratitude visit. Next slide, please. Gratitude takes us outside of ourselves, where we see ourselves as part of a larger, intricate framework of sustaining relationships. Gratitude is essentially memory from the heart. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. How do we actually put in place a gratitude visit? Think of someone in your life who has made an enormous positive impact and whom you never thanked. First, write a 300-word testimonial to that person. Then surprise him with your visit and share the testimonial with him. Often, this simple task has a lasting impact. Next slide, please. Is there any research evidence to support the usefulness and the impact of gratitude visit? Yes. There was a large control study of 471 participants comparing 5 methods of increasing happiness spread over 6 months, and the highest impact was for gratitude visit. Another study mentioned that in clinical population, there are positive gains among patients with depressive disorder. Next slide, please. The other question is, we do feel happy. But is there a way in which we can sustain our levels of happiness? Is there a way in which we can ensure that the state of happiness persists for a while? Next slide, please. Mere happiness and feeling happy is not enough. Happiness has to be infused and has to occur in the context of a meaningful life. When you talk about a meaningful life, it is reaching out to something beyond oneself. Next slide, please. And that can happen through a spiritual quest. Next slide, please. I cannot but quote Kabir, who said it so beautifully in one of his dohas, "Dukh mein simran kab kare, sukh mein kare na koi. Jo sukh mein simran kare, to dukh kahe ko hoi." In anguish, everybody prays to him. In joy, nobody does. To one who prays in happiness, how sorrow can come. Next slide, please. Happiness is about the present, but meaning is about the future. Meaning is about linking past, present, and future, and pursuing a meaningful life helps to sustain happiness over a period of time. Next slide, please. So happiness comes from what others contribute to us. Meaningfulness comes from ourselves contributing to others. Next slide, please. So is there a simple happiness principle that I can enunciate? There is a simple formula. Happiness equals S plus C plus V, where S stands for set point, which is genetically determined. C stands for conditions, which is the kind of relationships that you're able to sustain. And V for voluntary activities like the gratitude visit, which I had mentioned. Next slide, please. Happiness is a choice that you have to make. Next slide, please. So the question is, how can we pursue happiness? If it runs like hot, like hell, we have to go for it. Next slide, please. Thoreau said it very beautifully. Happiness is like a butterfly. The more you chase it, the more it will elude you. But if you are in tune with yourself and the nature around you, it will come quietly and sit softly on your shoulder. The last slide, please. Thank you very much for your patient hearing.